All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our GeoAwareness Solution info session. Before we get started, if you can please help by answering a few of the questions that were presented to you upon logging in. This helps shape the solutions that we're building to be actually applicable to your business challenges. It also helps us guide these types of webinars for the future. My name is Jeremy Kwan, and I'm a senior account executive on the Google team here at Wolpert. Wolpert is a geospatial firm that headquartered in Ohio, and we have over 50 years of location technology expertise. We also are a premier Google partner that specializes in Google Maps, Cloud, and G Suite. Our role as a Google partner is to help clients handle technical implementations, instill best practices, and help with optimizing Google's products. Today, we'll hear from Ben Walzer, a sales and business development leader at Google, as well as David Hollema, a customer engineer for our Google team here at Wolpert. We're going to do a quick look at the agenda today, so if we could change slides. We're going to take a look at the new customer purchasing journey. We're also going to follow that by looking at how Google Maps platform solutions can help improve the customer experience from the initial consideration to post-purchase. We're going to follow that by taking a look at the role of GeoAwareness in optimizing the buy online and pick up in store process. And finally, we're going to see a live demo of our GeoAwareness curbside pickup solution. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please utilize the Q&A feature and ask your questions through that. I'll be taking these questions down, and we have a set time at the end of the presentation to address these and hopefully answer everybody's questions. Without further ado, I want to introduce Ben Walzer with Google.
Great, thank you, Jeremy. And just a quick test, can you hear me all right?
Great.
Awesome, appreciate it. Well, thanks, Jeremy, and nice to be here, everybody. Appreciate the warm introduction. It's great to be here today, and I certainly hope that everyone is doing well and safe and sound during these crazy times. As Jeremy mentioned, my name is Ben Walzer, and I'm a sales and business development lead on the Google Maps team. I'm excited to be here today and share with all of you how the Google Maps platform is focused on a set of best practices as it relates to what we see as the new consumer journey within retail. So if we move on to the next slide, thank you. So here's a quote from one of our recent research studies. And what we know is the consumer behavior is rapidly changing in the time of COVID. This is no surprise to all of us. And in this quote, basically what we say is over a quarter of US consumers can't find the products they want or need, and nearly 3 in 10 bought brands they don't normally buy. And these are all behaviors that are changing in the time of COVID. And what we know is consumers are less loyal to specific brands and expect a seamless and safe purchasing experience. And these behaviors will only continue post-COVID. And as a result, the retail industry is going through a massive transformation. What's most important is that these customers are looking for tools that can make relevant recommendations to better help them find what they need, provide up-to-date inventory for online shopping, and provide a safe curbside pickup or delivery experience. And today, what we also know, according to our own data here at Google, is that 85% of consumers will take action within 24 hours of discovering a product. So if you move on to the next slide. Thanks. So here, we see the new consumer purchasing journey. It starts with the customer doing research, where 46% of shoppers search for a product inventory available in a store before visiting a location. Once they've done their research, the customer moves to the shopping phase, where 74% of shoppers search for store-specific details, like the closest store near them, or locations, products in stock near them, hours, directions, wait times, etc. Once they've decided on what they want to buy, the customer moves to the purchase phase, where 53% of shoppers are interested in allowing brands to use their location to improve their checkout experience. Once the customer's made a purchase online and they know where they want to go, they now have more choices than ever. They can either pick up in store via curbside pickup or in the store itself, or choose to have that product delivered to their home or office. For either of these options, the consumer expects a quick and frictionless experience, especially now during COVID. And according to a recent study by McKinsey in April of 2020 of this year, contactless commerce could become the permanent norm for consumers as enforced behavioral changes become an everyday habit. So again, we're seeing this fundamental change here where consumers are expecting a quick, seamless, fast experience. So moving on to the next slide here. So Google can help with all points along this new contactless journey. And to start with, here on the Google Maps platform side, we've actually recently launched a set of best practices specifically to help you drive more value around the shopping and purchase phases of this journey. And in the future, the Google Maps platform will also be adding an additional set of best practices and solutions to address the research and delivery phases more holistically. So moving on to the next slide. So these are the benefits that a best-in-class Google Store Locator can provide to our retailers. It dynamically lists nearby stores to users' locations and allows the user to choose the best store to visit. It gives customers all the store and travel details they need, especially in this time of COVID. This store locator allows the retailer to keep the user on the site to reduce churn and further build up their brand experience. And it offers a consistent user experience between your site or app and one of the largest storefronts online, which is Google My Business. And this is something that only Google can provide, as users are accustomed to the experiences of Google Search and Google Maps and expect the same exact experience and features anywhere they go, which includes on your site or your apps. And overall, an advanced Google Store Locator can also deliver great insights. Insights that can be used to optimize for in-store traffic, marketing events, and even decisions on where to open your next store. So again, here the idea is your customers are already using other methods to discover your store, to figure out where your stores are, to discover products, etc. And a lot of that is through Google Search and Google Maps. And so you should consider having a seamless experience on your site. And so moving on to the next slide. Thank you. So in addition to the best in-class Google Store Locator, it's also important now more than ever to ensure your customers have a seamless checkout experience. The majority of retail website traffic today actually comes from mobile devices. Mobile users expect a quick and easy checkout process, yet it's often much harder to fill in all the necessary information when you're checking out on a small mobile device. I think many of us are probably accustomed to this, especially if you're on the go and using a mobile device. So by using the Google Places Autocomplete API with type-ahead address prediction, you can reduce checkout length and increase conversions. And here's a quote from Shopify in which they saw a 20% time savings and error reduction on mobile when they used the Google Places Autocomplete API. If you move on to the next slide. Thank you. So in summary, by using address type-ahead functionality in the Google Places Autocomplete API, you can expedite the checkout process and reduce cart abandonment by providing a single, quick entry field for your customers. You can also ensure you capture accurate address information for delivery so that you can ensure that you populate the billing and shipping addresses appropriately. And as many of you know, a bad delivery experience not only costs you money, but also in the age where brand loyalty is actually waning, a potential long-term customer as well. So another, I think, important benefit here is that by capturing that correct address, you can ensure you're capturing addresses correctly in your CRM system to improve on remarketing and other CRM opportunities. And finally, just to recap, so given the pace at which consumer behavior is changing in the time of COVID, it's really now more important than ever to create a seamless and safe purchasing experience. And through a set of best practices we've developed on the Google Maps platform side, you can bring more value, i.e. increase conversions, reduce cart abandonment rates to your customers when they're in the shopping and purchase phases of this consumer journey. As mentioned, we are going to be focusing later on a set of best practices to address some of the other phases as well. And so now I'm excited to actually hand it off to David over at Woolpert, who's going to speak to Woolpert's new GeoAwareness solution, which actually helps address the store pickup phase of this new consumer journey. So David, off to you, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Hello, everyone. My name is David Hollema. I'm a customer engineer on the Woolpert Cloud Innovation team. And as a Google Maps and Cloud partner, I work with our customers on a daily basis to build geospatial solutions on GCP. I'm going to begin with a quote, and this quote is by a gentleman named Ken Perkins of Retail Metrics, Inc. And Retail Metrics is a group that provides institutional investment research based on the retail industry to potential investors. This group has been cited in numerous financial publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, Investors Business Daily, etc. And Ken's observation of the current retail environment is summarized in this quote. Curbside pickup, same-day delivery, and contactless transactions are king in this environment. And this is the environment in which GeoAwareness solution was born. So the backstory of how GeoAwareness came to be is Google approached Woolper as a Google Maps and cloud partner with a challenge. And the challenge is as follows. Given the surge in order pickup behavior due to the pandemic and related stay-at-home ordering patterns, retailers and the food and beverage industry specifically is faced with a challenge. And their challenge is how do we improve customer experience and how do we streamline internal operations in this new world? Many of the restaurant industry were traditionally dine-in, and now they're faced with this advance in new distance ordering and pickup models, and this has presented them with this challenge. So in short, businesses are in need of a solution that makes the online ordering and curbside pickup process more efficient. And so we thought about this challenge, and I decided it would make sense and I would be a good steward by taking this experience on myself. So I decided to test out, what the modern state of the industry was for addressing this type of journey. So I decided a few days later to place an order at one of my favorite fast food chains, and began that journey on my mobile device. So imagine here I am in my living room and I've got my mobile device and I'm walking through the ordering process. So the first half of this journey, as shown here in this slide, addresses the shopping component, item selection, menu item selection, and capture of payment. And I think we're all familiar with this type of journey. Over here on the fourth screenshot, I of course chose curbside pickup rather than delivery. But the second half of the journey is the part I want to focus on today, and it's where and it's the portion that GeoAwareness addresses. So after I decided to, or just before I headed out for the restaurant, I was presented with this list of instructions. It was a nice, concise set of instructions, very clear. Number one, I'm instructed to head out to the restaurant. And then two, find a curbside parking space, find the space number and enter that value. So I headed out to the restaurant. 20 minutes later, I arrived. Now the scene at the restaurant this time was a bit frantic and crazy. It was during the dinner time rush. And I noticed immediately there was a lengthy drive-through queue and a small parking lot. So my first challenge was, how do I identify where to park? Where was this curbside pickup area? Wasn't immediately obvious, but I did notice that there were a number of delivery drivers parked in a certain area that was coned off. So folks from groups like DoorDash and Grubhub. So I ventured over there, pulled in my vehicle in, and immediately started looking for this space number. Now I saw no obvious sign that indicated, I am in space number 1 or 2 or 3. So I decided just to make something up, as that was the next required step in the flow. So I entered a space number value of 1. And I waited and waited. And 15 minutes later, I was tired of waiting. And I noticed to my left out the window that there were store runners visiting the delivery vehicles next to me. So I asked one of the runners for help and explained my situation. And I placed the order on the mobile app back at home. And I've had this kind of inherent trust in the system while I waited that things would progress as I expected. And her response was a little bit abrupt, and she said, "We don't have your order," and she directed me to head out to head into the drive-through line and wait there. So I left the parking space, drove around the store, entered the drive-through line. Now, mind you, there were about 15 to 20 cars, and I had already waited 15 minutes. I waited an additional 5 minutes there in line in the hopes of eventually getting my meal. And turns out, to my surprise, the same runner came out and met me in line. She sort of intercepted my vehicle and said, "Hey, sir, we actually do have your order. It was my mistake." And so her and additional staff came with the order in hand, handed it off to me. I checked the items for accuracy. Everything looked good. And so I was happy, right? I was happy shopper at that point because my order was ready, meal was warm. On downside, the total wait time at the restaurant was roughly about 35 minutes. So at the beginning of the journey, I trusted in this automated system. I was confident that everything was going to work out seamlessly and smoothly, but turns out the actual experience was a 35-minute wait. On a positive note, and the flip side, the food was delicious, so I was happy there. But in conclusion, here are the things I want. As a customer, I'm looking for more automation. I'm looking for, of course, less wait time. And overall, I think there's this impression that customers want this inherent trust in the system and confidence that things will go smoothly. Now, this, of course, is just one example, and it's not exemplary of all pickup experiences, of course, but I think it sets a baseline and the stage for GeoAwareness. So enter GeoAwareness. What is GeoAwareness? GeoAwareness is a quick start solution for capturing customer location data in real time or near real time. Using predefined geofences, GeoAwareness alerts you to approaching customers and helps initiate the fulfillment process. I want to highlight just a handful of the features of this platform or system. First off, it's built on Google Cloud Platform, GCP, and it takes advantage of its scalability, reliability, and security. The locations you receive for your customer positions are refreshed in near real time. They're accurate and precise, as accurate as typically the GPS sensor available on the mobile device, somewhere in the 10 to 20 foot range or better. The geofences that serve as the alerting zones are customizable to fit your organization's needs. They can be either time-based or distance-based, depending on your specific needs. Further, the system is hosted in your own Google Cloud project. This is not a SaaS solution. This is not a product that Woolper offers, and we'll get into more detail of what that means later. And finally, by owning this platform and having ownership over the data, you can begin to think about what are some of the derivative products I can produce from the system. So we've coined this term spatial insights or spatial BI. With the application of some of the big data analytics and ML tools that GCP offers, you can gain additional insights as to your customers' buying behavior, et cetera. And we have a slide just dedicated to that. So the demo you're going to see today is focused on the food and beverage industry, and we've named a fictitious restaurant chain we're calling So Inclined Restaurants. And that's the focus of the demo. And of course, then, as I described before, the goal is to promote timely meal order preparation. And as we thought about the system and the potential applications, these other industries appeared in our mind's eye, and I just identified 4 of them here. So we see application to the retail industry. Similar to the food and beverage industry, you may be placing an order for a packaged set of items. You expect that when you arrive on site at a big box store, for example, retail store, that order will be ready, packaged up in a container, and make for an efficient handoff. In the medical industry, we've spoken with customers who may be in charge of fleets of medical couriers. And these couriers are responsible for transporting laboratory specimens or medical supplies, even bodily organs from a laboratory to a different medical facility, such as a hospital or nursing home. Particularly in the COVID environment we live in, we've seen an increase there. And what we've learned is that it's often critical that the right staff is in place for handoff or receipt of that delivery at the right time. So the timeliness of the ETAs are very important. With GeoAwareness, you can receive alerts for a timely arrival. In the wholesale industry, think large cargo here. It may be ocean-going vessels that are transporting shipment containers across the seas, or long-haul trucking across the highway network. In either case, you often have expensive staff and crews waiting for receipt of that shipment, and anything you can do to cut down on the wait time there makes sense from a business standpoint. And finally, in the utility world, whether we're talking about the electric industry, gas, water, wastewater, there's application here as well. Imagine a field supervisor who needs to both have awareness of where his field service technicians are on a map, and more importantly, when one of those service techs is arriving near a critical piece of infrastructure. GeoAwareness can help in that area as well. And I'm sure you can think of applications to a whole host of other industries besides those that we've mentioned here. So as you're interested in a system like this, you're faced with the question of, and it's a typical question in the software industry of, should we build this or buy it? This is a build versus buy dilemma. We recognize that there are a number of solution providers who typically sell a SaaS platform on a license or subscription basis in this area. And GeoAwareness is certainly positioned on the build side of the equation rather than the buy side. And I just want to highlight here on this slide just some of the pros and cons and benefits of building a solution yourself and some of the drawbacks. So first of all, there's this idea of ownership. With building a solution comes the idea of ownership. You take ownership of the platform in your own Google Cloud project and owning control of the data as well. And we've talked about some of the derivative insight benefits that come along with controlling that data. So again, to be clear, this is not a Woolpert hosted SaaS platform. But in building a solution yourself, we think it's definitely more malleable and customizable than a buy solution. For example, as you see these purchasing patterns change, you can customize the system as needed to adapt to these new patterns. Another example would be if a bug arises in the running system, you can fix it with your own teams as well. The long-term costs are most likely lower than a license-based model. And I want to spend a little bit of time here on the topic of costs. So the costs to operate a system like this consist of two parts. First of all, there's an initial build, the costs involved with standing the system up in your own GCP platform. And then the second part is the recurring cloud spend. And that typically comes in the way of a monthly bill. And that the exact level is going to vary based on the usage, depending on the exact volumes that GeoAwareness is processing. We present the solution as 3 different packages or tiers. And just to give a high-level summary here, they range on one end of the spectrum from a do-it-yourself DIY solution, where you can take the code that we've open sourced for GeoAwareness, work with your own engineering teams to stand up that system in your own GCP project, to the other end of the spectrum, which is complete or full integration. And here's where you would engage with Woolpert as a Cloud Maps partner to help stand the system up, as well as integrate it with your existing order management systems. From a licensing perspective, all the components that live within this ecosystem are open source, so there are no proprietary licensing fees. Okay, the 30,000-foot view of GeoAwareness. The intent of this slide is just to lay out the big picture. And in our system, we've got 2 main players. On the left-hand side, our customer, and her name is Phoebe. On the right-hand side, our store clerk, and her name is Jackie. And so the story begins with Phoebe placing an order for a dinner time meal on her mobile device, much like I did with the example I presented earlier of my own experience. And as she heads out for the store, her location, timestamp, and other order identifying information is transmitted up to Google Cloud. Those data, those telemetry data, are processed inside Google Cloud. They're intersected against a set of geofences that you define. And the timely arrival notifications are transmitted over to Jackie, who's studying an order monitor dashboard, near real-time dashboard, to gain awareness of where her customers are at, and more importantly, an order queue of the customers as they arrive, so she can package the items when it makes sense to do so. One of the questions we've heard from customers are, okay, which ordering methods do you support? And so we've listed the 4 most common, and GeoAwareness has been developed in a way that it's intended and designed to support multiple ordering methods. It may be a mobile application, website, whether on desktop or mobile website, even phone-in orders or walk-in orders. Okay, we're going to dig in a little more detail here about the regarding the interactivity between these players, and we've introduced a new player here too, Phil. He's our store runner. So just as a matter of review, Phoebe places an order on your existing order management system, so the mobile devices menu, and the backend system confirms receipt of that order and optionally sends an estimated pickup time. When Phoebe's ready to head out, she clicks a link on the mobile app that says "Leaving now," begins driving, and behind the scenes, her location information is periodically transmitted up to Google Cloud. Once she breaks the geofence 2-minute barrier, Jackie receives an alert that Phoebe is within a 2-minute ETA. She then notifies the store runner, Phil, to prepare Phoebe's order, and Phil meets the customer with the order in hand upon her arrival. Okay, here's a blueprint of what GeoAwareness looks like on Google Cloud Platform. Again, the code has been open sourced for what you're going to see in today's demo. And the intent of this slide is not to dig into detail as to all the interactions and cloud resources involved, but I want to highlight a few. From a compute standpoint, we're using both Cloud Run and Compute Engine for some of the backend services. We use Cloud PubSub for messaging. Cloud Data Store serves as our primary database, and we take advantage of its ability to reach very high scale. Google Maps certainly plays a role in our Order Monitor real-time dashboard for both the JavaScript Maps API, base map, as well as the Directions API. And I mentioned the derivative insights or spatial insights and business intelligence, and those types of insights exist within this blue box, and we've labeled it the Analytics and ML toolset. So having this entire platform stood up in GCP, you of course have the advantage of leveraging some of the big data and ML tools and you have an entire suite of tools available to you. And we just call out a couple here, Cloud Data Flow and BigQuery. So the data from that ingestion queue can be siphoned off to other resources like Dataflow and the data warehouse, BigQuery, for those derivative spatial insights. So we want to spend just a little bit of time on the art of what's possible in that world of spatial insights. And so our team thought through some of these, talked to customers about some of the applications. You know your business better than we do, of course, so I challenge you to think of what else is possible given you've got tracking of the breadcrumb activity of where your customers traveled en route to your store and at what time of the day, so on and so forth. So with knowledge of those travel patterns for all your customers, you can consider things like geo-targeting advertising. For example, where do I place billboards or other signs? Other things that came to mind was the idea of what can I learn about my competitors in terms of who are my customers, which stores of my competitors are my customers passing en route to my store, and how can I use that data to better market my company. Another example is just-in-time order preparation using predicted ETAs. So with knowledge of when your customer will arrive, from an internal efficiency and operation standpoint, the question is, what benefit is it to me to delay preparing an order until just the appropriate time? And further, if I anticipate or have knowledge that some of these orders will be abandoned altogether, how much more benefit is it to me to avoid preparing that order altogether? And with this data at your fingertips, there's also the ability to perform predictive analytics and ML in refining those ETAs. So the system will provide certain ETAs, but you're measuring your real time, your customers' positions in real time. And with all that data, the system can begin to learn what the true ETAs are and refine future predictions accordingly. And finally, just basic location-based customer demographics, learning about your customer base, who they are and where they live, so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to switch over to the live demo now. And the demo consists of two main applications. On the left-hand side is what we call Mobile Tracker. And Mobile Tracker is meant to emulate your existing mobile application on your store's website for placing an order receipt. That's on the left-hand side. And if you notice, we're logged in here as a fake customer named Alexander. On the right-hand side is the order monitor, and the order monitor is the dashboard, the near real-time dashboard that will present the store clerk Jackie with that awareness of where the customers are and when their arrival times are estimated to be. So we're going to begin this journey over here on the left-hand side with our fictitious restaurant chain called So Inclined Restaurants. And Alexander is logged into the Carmelite store, which is located in Branson, Missouri. And he has configured his order here for a few hamburgers, some French fries, a couple of Diet Cokes. He receives his total of $51.60 and places his order. So your backend system receives order confirmation, and it provides instruction to Alexander to click on the Leaving Now link when he's ready to head out, and he's notified that the store will do its best to have your order ready when you arrive. So Alex clicks Leaving Now, and he's asked to keep this page open so we can send updates on your location to our store. And further, he can click Get Direction should he want direction information. Over on the right-hand side, in the order monitor, Jackie's clicked on the Carmelite store, and she's presented with this real-time dashboard. Now, there's a number of orders in queue. My team behind the scenes is helping me out in creating some additional fake orders. And so we've got orders for Alex, as well as Raymond, Seth, Matilda, so on and so forth. So here in the real-time dashboard, we've got two main components. On the left-hand side is the order queue. And the headings in the order queue of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, greater than 10 minutes refer to those geofences that So Inclined has defined that are important to them for this Carmelite store. On the right-hand side, we have a map, and both the order queue and the map are refreshed in a configurable value right now set at 3 seconds. And the customer locations are reflected in near real time on the map. So what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit tighter, click on the heading here for the 5-minute geofence, and you can see highlighted in yellow the extent of that 5-minute geofence. So this is an equal drive time area polygon. And as the customers approach the store and cross those boundaries, the order drive time group, the position of their order in that drive time group changes in the order queue on the left-hand side. So we'll spend just a few seconds here watching the real-time interactions. So Jackie receives an alert that Molly has just crossed into the 2-minute geofence, and would at that point notify the store runner to prepare the order. In the center here, the center information includes the age of the message. All those that say now mean that there's a live or fairly recent connection to the telemetry data. As those customers finish their journey to the store and stop transmitting, the age increases. So Alex has arrived about 2 minutes ago. Once the order is fulfilled and handed off, Jackie will simply close the order. The order status is changed by interacting with the GeoAwareness REST API from your order management system, and Alexander's order disappears from both the order queue as well as the map. We'll do the same for Evan. So Jackie now has real-time awareness of where all her customers are, and more importantly, what their estimated arrival time is and the order in which they'll arrive so that she can efficiently manage her kitchen staff accordingly. Okay, we'll switch back over to the deck. And so we want to leave you today with a few parting resources for GeoAwareness. First of all, the product page, which describes in detail what we covered today, as well as has a recorded demo up on YouTube of today's live demo, is available at woolpert.com/geoawareness. I mentioned the code base has been open sourced, and this link here to geoawareness.woolpert.io will take you to a runbook. And the runbook will walk you through, from a technical perspective, the steps involved in taking the 4 repos we have out there and standing up that platform in your own GCP project. And of course, we encourage you to engage with us, Woolpert, as your Maps and Cloud partner, to take it to the next level, help you stand up the system and integrate it with your existing ordering management systems. And you can always contact us at cloudsuccess@woolpert.com. All right, back over to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Ben. And thank you, everybody, for joining and listening today. I know there's been a few questions rolling in, so we'll get to those in a second. But if you could, when you do leave, you'll be prompted for another survey. All this feedback helps us improve our solution, improve for webinars for future audiences. So really appreciate everybody's time. But again, thank you. You'll see Dave's information and Ben's information, so feel free to reach out to any of us for any questions. If we don't get to your questions in the next few minutes, we'll be responding throughout the next few days and next week.